say yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not on right now. Are you ready? Okay.
Hi, my name is Kristen.
I'm Mike.
I'm Deandra. Today we're going to be presenting on the pork barrel scam out of the Philippines. So this is an overview of what we will be talking about today. We'll go over what the pork barrel scam is, who was involved, how did it work, and what the breakdowns and controls were, and how we can prevent this from happening in the future. So what is the pork barrel scam? The pork barrel is the kind of slang version for Priority Development Assistance Fund. It's just what they call it, or this fund is basically, it takes national funds for projects and it's allocated to different senators, congressmen, all different lawmakers, and they're for specific regions that they work out of. So far, 10 billion pesos have been illegally transferred that we know of. This was discovered starting in 2009, and it's still taking actions against it till now. So it's still an ongoing thing, but it has been discovered that this originally started in 2000. And it's famously led by Janet. Alright, so the main players. So the most significant person in this whole scam is Janet Napoles. She is the mastermind of this whole thing, and she is a businesswoman with many ties to Congress members. She's also the owner of JLN Corporation, which is a trading company that is involved with agricultural products. She has a criminal history, and she was previously involved and charged alongside of her husband for graft and malversion of public funds from the military in 2001, but she was later cleared of those charges. So in addition to Napoles, there were more than 100 individuals and over 20 agencies and organizations involved in executing this. Some of the major Congress members involved were Senator Enrao, Senator Vela Jr., Senator Estrada, Representative Velarde, Representative Sicon Lanet, Representative Plaza, and Representative Dongma. And then here are just a few of the more than 20 organizations that funds were passed through. So how does it work? So basically, they would establish foundations or fake NGOs. These are non-government organizations similar to nonprofits, and they would use dummies as recipients and beneficiaries for the funding. So they would use employee names, family members, and even there's a case of a nanny. They would claim these people the presidents of these state corporations. So the funds were deposited into accounts remitted into Napoles, and through these methods for how they were set up. So for the ghost deliveries, basically nothing was purchased or delivered, but on paper it was. It was. So the money was just split 50-50 instead of going to wherever it was supposed to go. And for deliveries that were actually made, substantial cuts were taken from the funds for these materials, and all funds were shared between the lawmakers involved by municipality areas. So further into that, JLN would write to a lawmaker requesting funding. So they would request funding for the purchase of things like farm inputs, dust, fertilizer, for crazy amounts or random amounts of pesos on behalf of the mayors, governors, or even themselves, indicating that they want these funds from their PDAP allocation to be given to the certain agency. And then after that, they would send out official letterheads just as a precaution so it looks more official. So the letters bear the seals of the elected lawmakers, governors, or mayors, and they would forge the signatures so it looked like everything was fine. Then once everything cleared that, the staff of JLN would convince them to release the funds, prompting the government officers to agree that funding should be released to these NGOs. So the DBM is the Department of Budgeting and Management, and they would issue a special allotment release order to be charged to these specific senators or congressmen's application. So that would send NCA to the agencies chosen by the lawmakers, which are notice of cash allotment, and it's just as good as cash. They could take these and withdraw cash. So after the money was deposited into the accounts, it would be withdrawn in favor of JLN. Usually they'd go to bank, withdraw a ton of money, put it in a briefcase, and deliver it to her offices or home, wherever she.
So the initial discovery and verification of the scam started with 1 to 2 initial whistleblowers. One was Benur Louis, which was her cousin. The other one was Sunas, which was former office secretary. And it led to an initial COA investigation, which is the Commission on Audit. And their initial inquiry for the fiscal year 2009 to 2010 uncovered around 200 million unaccounted for that was transferred to fake NGOs. For Senator Enrile, Estrada, Revilla, and Representative Clardy, $206 million pesos was unaccounted for. And that's only 4 of the 28 people that are involved in the scam. And that was for one fiscal year. Upwards of 10 billion pesos has been attributed to this over the 10-year period. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Everyone else is involved in this, upwards of the national government. After the fact, it found that all of these properties and vehicles are listed under Janet Linda-Polis' name. She has high-end subdivisions in Forbes Park, Ayala, Alabang, a whole entire 25th floor of condominium. Plaza Towers properties, parking areas. She has 12 different vehicles, a Range Rover, Porsche Cayenne, 2 Ford F-150s, Honda Civics, Mercedes-Benz. All of this is well outside of her physical means to buy these. Why they were able to do this is there's been leftover corruption from the previous administrations. Many people know about the Marcos regime in the Philippines, and that left a huge festering amount of corruption. And from the transfer of the revolution after the Marcos regime to the Aquino administration, the previous president, corruption became ingrained in the society, whether it was lawmakers or whether it was businessmen or anything else like that. It was common practice to be corrupt. So it used to be very easy to hide. But as times change with the way media is, with the way social media is now, it's not as easy to hide these things. Disbursements from basic lawmakers to national budgets, they all have allocations, but not all of it is public knowledge. So aside from their PR campaigns, where they would say build a development community and then put their face on billboards or banners and things like that to give themselves more publicity for their next elections, most of the allocations are unaccounted for. Controls to be better put into place. A better multi-tier verification and validation system would be the best way. Senators and congressmen allocations, they have to be able to account for the penny. Senators have an allocation of 200 million pesos annually, and congressmen have 70 million pesos annually. From the example from the COA inquiry, for just 1 year, 200 million was unaccounted for just 4, which leads to an exponential amount of money it's not being accounted for. For the foundations and the NGOs, they are making up these foundations as they go. They need to verify financial histories for these NGOs. They need to know that these companies or these foundations have been around for a long time, that they actually have money that's going to a nonprofit. towards nonprofit projects. Certificates of registration with the SEC. This is the most basic concept for any NGO, that they have to be validated, they have to be certified to know that they are legitimate. Accounting for every amount received and dispersed is a basic principle for accounting. They have to know how much money is going in, how much money is going out, what it's for, how much everything costs. And the most important part is public knowledge. If everything is just hidden, how is anyone supposed to know anything that's going on? If public knowledge was the key to say everything that's allocated, all of the government money, all 200 million from each senator, all 70 million from every congressman, becomes public knowledge, it becomes harder and harder for them to hide the money, to move the money, to steal the money. Stronger repercussions for crimes. They do these crimes, they serve 3 years in prison. Who wouldn't want to steal $200 million and serve 3 years in prison for it? Kind of like Singapore, it's a no shit policy anymore. You commit the crime, you go to prison for life. Without stronger repercussions, people will continue to corrupt.
As we mentioned earlier, or Leandra mentioned earlier, the police actually was already involved in scam before this. If she wasn't allowed to be in such a high position, this could have easily been prevented. And she had hand in every step of the process. Her people overseen it, so there needs to be separation.
These are listed.
So, just a quick question for everybody. How many of you think about that you get out of here? Anybody attended government? Accounting, finance, business, parking cars. Real quick, what's the exchange rate peso to the dollar?
10 million pesos today is $199 million, but at the time, the exchange rate was around 52 to 1, so it was around $220 million. And that's only what's been uncovered this time. They're still doing tens of investigations every day.
Yeah, I mean, they could talk about government fraud, some things, of course, we know that really, sometimes we just gotta realize that certain areas basically doing business in a different way, for lack of a better word.
This fund has been through many scams, and there's actually a strong push for them to shut down this type of, or this funding area.
But that's a government financing program.
From the tax.
And then the government award, the NGO apparently has somebody who's trying to send it to them. They're going 50-50, so they gotta be involved. Yeah.
The other thing is that NGOs don't have physical addresses. I think it's basic funding their office.
Well, that's good. So send me the money out here.
So what was kind of done after?
We'll have it in lunch after.
They just go to the bank and deliver it.
Yeah.
The highest amount that went to the bank was 30 pesos.
Without any kind of
Incident
authorization.
So the bank would ask them what it's for, and they kind of blow them off.
They just say it's for purchase.
This is for the good of the people, right? That's all I know. Okay, thanks.
Watch about people.
I'm gonna go first. How are you? Yeah. Let's go.
Early fingers.
Oh wait, do you have a copy?
Sure works. Cool. All right.
So here we go. Yeah, let's go. Okay. So how many of you watch football or FIFA or know anything about program teams? It's not teams. So you watch football. Yeah. So what we did was a FIFA scandal. I didn't actually know about this until I actually researched it and found out. It's me on a project a few years ago. But FIFA, the scandal was done by me, Michael.
Completely.
Right. So our intro is so I'm just gonna give you like an intro of what business are getting into like some sort of troubles like all the time with some kind of corruption within our organization. It's just basically people within the organization, just like higher up people, just people on the way top, presidents kind of thing. So their power to their advantage kind of. I guess they just have temptation of stealing because just living conditions are just harder to live in days, and just things are not cheap. So, giving a FIFA's history was FIFA began in 1904 in May. It was under the leadership of Robert Urin. FIFA actually started really small. They started with only 7 members, and now they have over 209. I'm pretty sure they have more now, but 209 fully active members as of today. So FIFA has 6 different confederations within it, and you guys can also name all those, but AFC, CAF, C1, which stands for something bad. The first game of World Cup was held in 1929 in the country of Uruguay, and that was in 1988, Sepp Blatter, which is the president that just got resigned because he was the one that actually started corruption. This happened from years ago. He was re-elected after people knew that he was the one to actually start the corruption within FIFA. And this is the largest leading organization today in soccer's industry, which makes over $5.9 billion in revenue in this cool year, roughly. And over 19 World Cups have been played till today, and 8 different countries.
Okay, so there's a lot of people involved. These are just some examples, but in the U.S. Justice Department's indictment against FIFA or people involved in FIFA, there was over 25 people. A lot of them were unnamed co-conspirators that who were given plea deals in exchange for their testimony against the uppers, like this. So, like he says, Sepp Blatter, who was a former FIFA president, was one of the people who were listed in the indictment, along with a lot of other people, as you can see here. But their ranges, or their positions within FIFA range from, like I said, the president, all the way to just referees. Okay, so there was a lot of different unethical behaviors within FIFA listed in the indictment, which was actually 46 counts against those more than 25 people, and was 161 pages long. So according to the indictment, the bribery and unethical behavior lasted for a period of more than 25 years. So it's hard to put an exact date on when everything started. However, FIFA was not listed or labeled as a criminal enterprise, rather as a victim of internal corruption and conspiracy. So besides bribery, there was wire fraud and money laundering and all that kind of stuff. But one of the biggest issues was the bidding process with the World Cup. So host nations, or nations that wanted to host the World Cup, would give money to committee members in order to receive their votes when they put in their bid to be the host nation of the World Cup. And the reason for that is that when a nation hosts the World Cup, they get a lot of publicity and tourism revenue, because football or soccer is one of the largest worldwide sport. Although it's not that popular in America, around the world it's more popular. So when a nation hosts the World Cup, they have a lot of people traveling there just to attend and buy the merch and all that kind of stuff. So in the indictment, one of the main examples of this was in 2010, when South Africa paid $10 million to three committee members in order to help their bid to host the World Cup.
Another example would be from 2011. So Jack Warner, one of the people from the last slide, was a president of one of the confederations and also a committee member of the entire FIFA. And he was given around $1.5 million by England because England wanted him to back up their bid. And when he requested the 1.5 million, he had it wired as a humanitarian gesture for the people of Haiti, which is where he's from. And then also in 2011, a member from the Asian Football Confederation put in his candidacy to become president of FIFA and wired 5 committee members $40,000 each in exchange for their votes for him to become the president. But because they got caught, he wasn't elected. Just to grasp how long this has been going on, Nicolas Diaz, who was the former president of the South American Football Confederation, has allegedly been receiving money for over 2 decades in exchange for giving companies worldwide marketing opportunities or worldwide marketing for the South American Confederation National Football Championship. Yep. Basically, all these people were just accepting money in order to, for themselves in exchange for their power in their high position. So thanks to the U.S. Justice Department for opening the investigation and conducting a very thorough investigation, people was able to cut all their loose ends because, like I said, over 25 people were arrested and charged with these bad things. And then hold on, I have the date. Don't you worry. February 26, 2016, after Sepp Blatter resigned, Gianni Infantino became the new president of FIFA. He's the first Italian to be the president, fun fact. And he made a lot of promises to improve FIFA for all the damage that had been done, but also FIFA as a soccer corporation. So he did make a lot of improvements. For example, he's expanding the World Cup to other countries and dealing with internal control and all of that. So a lot of soccer supporters, although they were discouraged when the whole case came out in 2015, they now feel a little bit better in FIFA as a company because of Infantino. Even though a lot of them are still a little concerned about the corruption, but they believe that he's slowly restoring FIFA to its glory. Okay.
Yeah, it was him. The people or companies that were impacted by this scandal are, at the most, by scandal are responsible. So there were many corporations that were impacted by this scandal, and those companies are famous companies. The companies are Adidas and Coca-Cola, the third one is Costco, the fourth one is Tequila, and fifth one is Pizza and Budweiser. Because not only did they lose their brand value because of this scandal, but they also waste their money to high FIFA. So that's why they're the ones they lose their value by this scandal. They lose 67 million financial loss. They should spend And the most important, she did not want to be in their conflict anymore. And partnership like her, like that, conflict with conflict. And they should get this choose that like watch out like that. The conclusion that we can derive from the gender is it should never happen from the start because everyone just enjoyed watching the sport and they so that's why it should have happen from the start. You should not overlook their number more than half of it is going on and be one. And mistake did happen already, so they hopefully it should be a warning to every other grocery. And they should always trust their employees and never take this for granted. They should not get like any other. Yeah, I think that's forever.
So as you, next person, probably say one more. Michael, you said you recycled this? You did this project before?
No, it was years ago.
It was years ago. Oh, it wasn't as a couple things for everybody. Too many acronyms without explanation. And then the other thing is too many words on the slide. You guys are not the best. They're actually pretty good. Too many words on the slide. These slides, those are nice slides. I don't know. You gotta try them out sometimes. It's hard to see. Yeah, because you know the words were like faded and the pictures were very vibrant, like the words. And the other thing is confusing. Lay off the bullet points, girl. You know why they call them bullet points? Because they're like bullets. They shoot us, they pierce us, and they kill us during the presentation. We don't like watch anymore. And then we get lost in all these bullet points. So try to stay away from the bullet point. The other thing for all you guys, is it legal to bribe people in other countries? Is there a prohibition? Is there an accounting entry, debit, bribes, expense, credit, cash? Huh?
They just found the guy straight up those people that are responsible trying to back. Well, yeah, there's the organization like hiring.
Yeah, so you gotta give stronger suggestions as to how to fix it. You see the obvious. We all know that there are problems and we all know that bad guys. How you gonna fix it? That's what you gotta think about next time. I guess you can do this again like class. Next time, you go down with the presentation. But what I was looking for is, could you come up with suggestions? Like, how does bribing one guy make the selection so easy, right? You think you have a selection committee that you have to bribe like half a dozen guys, it might be broken. But if you can just get to one guy, then the way that they pick the site is wrong, right? So anyway, that kind of stuff is what I was looking for. All right, so that's the last one for today. So everybody give your attention. Okay.
Hi, my name is Julie. My name is Equan. And this is our group 3. Today we're going to discuss a fraud case that has to do with Girl Scouts. Has anybody heard of Girl Scouts? No? You don't? Okay. So this is a nonprofit organization that helps young girls establish leadership skills. They use, they're iconic for their cookies, obviously, and an average troop sells over 100 million boxes of cookies, which is a lot of money. Where does it all go? Well, today we're going to start off with a case regarding the mean person. Head shaped like a thumb, I know. She's 41 years old, if anyone wants to visit her in Gold Coast, Florida. She's a former Girl Scout coordinator, and she's been a coordinator for 10 years. and she embezzled $85,000, which is about 1,500 bucks. Cookie. So how did this happen? The 41-year-old Stephanie Person was the member service coordinator of Girl Scouts. So how she got the opportunity to commit the frauds? First, according to the Sarasota County Sheriff Office, she oversaw over 500 trip funds, and she was the only one person who handling the bank account, which including the money from booking cookies in office and also the public parking lot. For the method that she used to stealing money, she used the inactive accounts to transfer the money to herself. But the transfer and withdrawal leaves not only a digital trail, but also a video as well, as it's done at the ATM. The SCSO used the electronic evidence and surveillance videos to confirm her personal bank accounts. When stewards reports to the law enforcement in May that $85,000 were missing in the trip accounts, Person's position immediately put her under suspicion. So why she stole the money and what was that $85,000 using for? So Person admitted the money she used to sustain her personally tough time, and the money is used for paying her living expenses and also the scratch ticket. She did not invest anything tangible. Originally, she planned to pay the money back to the organization, but she was unable to do it. She was unable to stop because the fact was so easy. So that's why she continued for 8 months. What made her say the crime was easy? Is it a problem of their management, or is something goes wrong in their internal control? In the following few minutes, we are going to talk about the internal control that they used and what was the problem.
So the internal control they were using at the time was establishment of responsibility, which is used for assigning responsibility to specific individuals and going through is what activity. And this control is most effective when only one person responsible for a given task. And it also stands upon trust. So in this case, it was because Stephanie was 10 years trusted employee. And however, Stephanie actually, and even the CEO of this organization did not expect she does. Not only this situation, but also she was managing 500 trips for herself. So that's why it was too easy for her. And honestly, that's why it's so easy to express for crowded. So apparently the missing was ensures more than one person activity. But in this case, Tiffany was only one who managed money. Also, she had authority to control the inactive accounts, so invisible. And even though she was very trusted employee, it was not from find her on financial management.
Exactly. Since person is the only one who handles the banking accounts, so nobody shares her responsibility and no one monitors her jobs. That's why it provides her a lot of opportunity to steal the money.
So even though they successfully established person's responsibility, her given task was pretty much like made her to think the crime was so easy.
So we looked over many Girl Scout cases, and there are like other cases regarding the exact same thing. And we're trying to see like what did they actually do to help prevent this. All they did was just hire newer staff and implemented stricter controls. Like I don't think that's good enough to help especially a big organization like all over the world, different troops. There's over like 1,000 troops, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, these I don't think would actually help. Just newer staff they still have the same role. A person was actually a banker at the time that helped regulate the money going in and out. And yeah, so what we suggest
to avoid any felony service, report those physical controls and gun. And first one is to be controls by electronic devices that we can do. We suggest using the television monitor as full well pay monitor. Second one, apply scope and effective method to fund police and protect by isolation protection. So observing police activity by rotating and the thorough background for the organization because they hire staff. And that's first cash all the tax. It will be helpful to track of all in activity. Also, it will be more tax.
All right, for conclusion, she embezzled $85,000. I think Girl Scouts need to hit us up and have us suggest some fiscal and human resources control, and also the voucher. Just having an established, like newer employees doesn't really like give much like certain security, especially handling a lot of money, and it's not really effective their internal control. So yeah, that is all.
Okay, I hope this presentation can give you some insights about what is happening in this nonprofit organization. And today we covered the first information about this Girl Scout bot. And second, we covered the internal control that they used before. And then third, we talk about and analyze what is the problem of their internal control. And then finally, we provide some of our suggestions. The references? Thank you. Any questions?
So we'll do the fourth and fifth ones next time. Right? If you weren't planning to dress up in front of the camera, I'll show me that you were dressed up. Dress wasn't a thing. So, yeah, but the only thing, your PowerPoint was pretty good. The only thing I would suggest about it is that it's like, so any one of those, look at the top. You see the white, avoid using white, especially inside colored backgrounds when you have a projector in the classroom. It's going to wash out like that. It's real hard to see. Right, so that's just one thing for presentation about that. If the reader or the grader or the audience can see it, or it's hard for them to watch it out, it's not going to be a good presentation. And you guys did a good job of identifying how easy to deal because
she literally said that to
it was so lax, and that's got to be something. By the millions of dollars. Right?
Yeah.
You walk outside of a store and you get bombarded by these kids that wonder what is their mission? So cookies, or do they learn about life?
They actually like raise the prices too. It used to be like $2.50 a box, now it's like $5.
Yeah, now they get wonderful breadth of market. When you study marketing, or hear about depth and breadth, the width of those product line is great. It's not very deep, it's just cookies. So cookies, but every kind of flavor possible.
Yeah, but 70% goes to the people that actually bake the cookies, and the other like 30% goes to each like local troop. So yeah, and they use it for like equipment or.
Good. I mean, it's good that you can bring out that idea of work with you understand, you made some good recommendations that really help out. And
yeah, Colin's gonna
the one thing, the other thing, not that anybody's done it so far, but I will comment trying to RP that.
Oh.
When you're not talking, resting bitch face. Sometimes when you're not speaking, you start to wonder. Like very distracted.
I'm just angry about her, Oh.
Yeah, she's a horrible person.
Shaped like a thumb.
She ripped off the cookie sellers. Now they sell more cookies. So that makes it bad for all of us. So they gotta replace the profit. Anyway, so thank you. Anybody have any questions? You should all ask questions. Ask them what flavors they got,
They're all on there. Nobody noticed my awesome. What is your favorite? This one. Yeah, they're the best. Mom.com.
Yeah,
you should have brought some cookies, distribute it, that would be great. I don't think it's a pizza right now, right?
No. They just had it like a month.
I know.
And they'll have it again in a couple more months.
They bombard you.
I probably won't be
I
know, so
you don't get a chance to say no. You go down that escalator and stay with it. Just stand there.
Yeah, well, food lab. The one thing that some of you will find out if you're going to take no accounting or you're going to do any kind of work, especially if it's nonprofit, is that the IRS has various goals and definitions for a nonprofit. And the Girl Scouts have sold cookies so many times that the IRS has actually challenged the Girl Scouts as to whether or not they are a nonprofit.
But don't they just offset it by saying high expenses?
Well, the thing about having extremely high expenses is they better be related to
that's what I mean.
The things directly being provided, and then you got to have some way to fund it other than selling something, right? Usually charities are supported by a lot of donations, and I'm sure people just go like, here's $10, leave me alone. I don't want that free cookies. And that would be a donation, and that'd be okay. But sometimes what you gotta watch out for is when it becomes too much, and it looks like a cookie store, running on the side to support an expensive operation of Girl Scouting. So that's the thing that the IRS does start to get. And if you do work in a nonprofit, I think many of you might. What you have to make sure that you understand is that one, it's not a business. It should run by salaries. Yeah, they can have reasonable salaries. Should be paying $4 million. Not professional sports league spend money for people who are selling cookies.
That's statistic. All nonprofits, a lot of nonprofits are making.
Oh yeah, and that's the excuse they give for that all the time. They gotta pay market rates. So like, look at the head of UH, and the next time UH president comes up, right? The UH president makes about $500,000-$600,000 a year.
What about the head of the UC president? For the UC schools,
oh yeah,
that set aside $200 million.
Yeah, there are presidents of universities that we make well more than $1.
No, I mean the one that there was a corruption scandal. The head of the UC, the previous UC president, she had set aside $200 million that she raised from raising tuition, other things like that, and just kept the money.
Well, yeah, that would be bad. I mean, that's really horrible if they just keep the money. A lot of times what happens, people just get too into the mission. They love the Girl Scouts so much. Girl Scouts don't realize
And that can be very fatal as far as the IRS. So one thing to watch out for. The other thing, of course, hard to work in nonprofits is only the executive director receives the money, everybody else goes review. They pay crap working in nonprofits. A lot of people are having difficulty. But they went up to 48,000. I don't know if you heard about that in the classes last year. For you to be an exempted employee, like management, not be subject to 40 hours a week, you only have to be making $24,000, $1,000 a month working full time. Your employer could declare you exempt and make you 60 hours. It got really bad because people were paying you.
That was on salary.
Salaries, yeah, not hourly but salary. So like if they, so what happened was once they made more than 24,000, they were going to make more than 20,000. Then you had to do something about their hours, because, but now they went up to 48,000. A lot of people got hourly because their annual salary was not 48,000. So they go hourly and now they get overtime. Now, a lot of those people are like social workers. So the fact that they have to work extra because they got such a high caseload and so many kids, you know what? Because they get to the point where they don't want to go. So that's a problem, especially if that happens most of the nonprofits. Most of us in for-profits have to buy our beer. Yes, sustainable. It's the rough game, but it's something to think about because if you work people too hard and you don't pay them enough, what do you think they might want to do? Steal money from them because what they feel they deserve it. So you don't want to give them motivation. You definitely for this you don't want to give opportunity. Then you don't want to be too big class. So we will do groups 4 and 5 next time, and then we go over a little bit for what I expect for the questions.
So you're just a hard copy.
Oh my God.
I'll bring it next time. Oh, sure.